Yesterday night we came up short, but look, we've got to look at all the positives. That's the mindset and that's the perspective that we have to have, a positive one, always. Look at what we've achieved in the space of 11 years. It's phenomenal. And I want to thank every single one of you that's been riding with me. What a roller coaster journey. But you know what the problem is that it's far from over yet. You know, we've done it once, we've done it twice. Doing it a third time hasn't been easy, but I believe it's something I can achieve. It's about making the right steps forward, working hard, improving, and it's got to come from here more than anything. It can't come from any external voices or influences. It's got to come from here. And it's only been a day, but when I sit back and I'm thinking, I know I got a lot of this, man. I know I got a lot of this. So yeah, just a video to say thanks for your support. Thanks for being on this roller coaster journey with me. Keep your seatbelts tight because deep, deep, deep down in here, I know we've got a lot more to bring. A lot more to bring to the game. And long may it continue. British boxing, I appreciate you. We rise up together. Let's go.
AJ, very humble in defeat, very much like how he was after the Ruiz defeat. I remember that when he did something similar in a hotel in New York. I guess the biggest takeaway, Gareth, is he will continue. That's what he says. I want to quickly, if I can, just give my take on whether I want him to fight or not. Almost a bit like you, the accolades, I want to read out the accolades off the top of my head. Olympic gold medalist, world championship silver medalist, unified heavyweight champion of the world twice, stadium fights, would have made hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds, endorsed by some of the biggest brands in the world, right? I mean, Hugo Boss, Under Armour, Lucozade, Beats by Dre, etc. I think it's okay to walk away. I think it's okay to say, you know what, we've done enough in the sport. We've achieved so much. We've brought new eyeballs on the sport that were never there before. I always thought that AJ only had a couple fights left him anyway. I think me and you have spoken about this. I said, you know, I think you've said it to me many a times that I think AJ would walk away in 2025. So it's not like this isn't a knee-jerk reaction. I've always thought that AJ maybe only had a couple more, but that couple more was off the back of him winning on Saturday, not of him losing and getting knocked out like that. Fighters, and you know this way more than I do, fighters stay around far too long. And all this gladiator thing now AJ's doing and pumping the chest and I just want to fight, that doesn't play out well. Doesn't play out well with the big boys in the heavyweight division. If you can get a Fury fight because you've wanted it for so long and we wanted it, fine. But if not, I certainly don't want to see a Dubois rematch. And I just don't know if it's worth it having a Dillian White-like fight. I mean, AJ surely is at this stage of his career in fights that mean so much, whether it be world titles or fights that mean so much to your legacy. And a Dillian White fight doesn't do that. So I would want to see AJ hang him up. Obviously, he's not going to do that. And I know some people are going to be upset about me saying this, but I'm okay with AJ after 11 years of entertaining me saying, okay, I've done what I needed to do. Get in, get rich, and get out. But I don't know. That's just
he's very driven as a person and an athlete. And I think that was reflected in that message yesterday. I thought it was very courageous to come out and say, this is how I'm feeling. I've taken my licks like a man. I thought he was very generous and gentlemanly to Daniel Dubois afterwards. I think gave him all the plaudits he deserved. In all the good ways that Joshua has done brilliant things for boxing, he represented that even in defeat. He's frustrated at himself. That's what that message is. I don't want to stop till I get better. But maybe there isn't a better out there. It's just matchups. And he's gonna struggle against very cute boxers, and he's going to struggle sometimes when he gets the wrong end of an explosive encounter, which happened on Saturday night. Heavyweight boxing is like nothing else because those guys are 18 stone and one punch can change anything. One punch can leave their career in tatters. Look what happened to Mike Tyson in 1990 against Buster Douglas in Tokyo. This aura of invincibility was suddenly shattered and he was never the same again. Maybe AJ hasn't been the same after the Ruiz defeat. Maybe he's never been completely the same because when he fought Vladimir Klitschko at the same arena we were in on Saturday night, He knocked Klitschko down. He got knocked down himself. He weathered 2 rounds, ducked in and under a lot of Klitschko punches, and came out to finish with a hellacious uppercut. That's 7 years ago. That he was the same age then as Daniel Dubois. Scars and PTSD and all those things are there for fighters. I respect what he did yesterday. I really felt great to see him doing it. But I also felt, like you, don't push yourself too far, AJ. You might leave your career with 30 wins and 5 losses, for example. But you've done great things for the sport. He and Tyson Fury in different iterations, certainly Joshua in 2012 and then 2016 to 2019, or maybe from 2013 to 2019, he lifted boxing. He created a new generation in the heavyweight division. But also, Fury rose as well and went away. And them not coming together, when they've both been around for 10 years as powerhouses in the heavyweight division. If you think Fury's big moment was 2015 and Joshua was a world champion from 2016-17 onwards, I can't believe it's 9 years later and they've never been in the ring together. That's why I still want to see... People would still go to that fight. The problem is, optically, we're still seeing Joshua being smashed and knocked down again, smashed and knocked down again by Daniel Dubois. I still want to see Fury and Joshua, and that's the only fight I really want to see him in.
You said something there that it kind of made me sort of really take a long think. When I think you said maybe there isn't any better with AJ. And that's my concern with AJ. AJ, I know when it comes to training camp, trains like no one else.
You've been in camp with him. You've actually been in camp with him for several days, haven't you? You've done his exercises. You can only do 5% of what he does because we've seen it on the video. Yeah, we've seen it. You've been there. You've felt it. Yeah.
This is it. He is so precise. Everything is on point. Food is on point. Diet's on point. Sparring. And now he's got sort of the brains team, if you like, of Lee Wiley and Ben Davison behind the scenes. Everything is perfect. There isn't any more. I don't know what more he's referring to. And this is why I feel like it's okay to stop. And, he's going to try and beat himself up. I know he will. He'll beat himself up because, but that wasn't, and this is why at the point I was saying, that wasn't a Hagler Hearns. Like, it was from the very first round where Dubois put it on him. And yes, AJ had that moment. And, it's courageous for him to find that moment. But this wasn't
there was 3 10-8s. There were 3 10-8s and a conclusive 10-9 as well. So it wasn't close. No,
There you go. And that's what scares me. And that's the reason I'm like, maybe that is that. Because there'll be others, I'm not joking, there'll be other heavyweights sniffing around that think, what Martin Bakoli would like.
Zhile Zhang.
There'll be others Zhile Zhang.
Joseph Parker even at the moment.
And yes, Joseph Parker now, who's all of a sudden emerged as a real...
And is 270 pounds now. I think before this contest, based on the last year and a half, Anthony Joshua, a lot of people were ranking him around 3 in the division. Now he probably slides down to 6 or 7 because I think, that this is why I say about the Fury fight. Fury's style is not to go out there and smash someone up. So I think, again, stylistically, I still think Fury wins, but let's see what happens against Usyk first. I think stylistically, it may be a difficult boxing match for Joshua, but I don't think... Well, he can't box in the way he did with his hands out there. And he didn't convince on Saturday night. He didn't convince from the opening bell. There was something missing. He was listless. And I go back to it, I use this word again, he got mauled. He got mauled for 13 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, look, Fury for me is quite easy. Like, without doubt, for me, the number 2 heavyweight in the world, Fury. Like, he's just there, rock solid number 2. Usyk number 1, Fury number 2. And even when Fury got wobbled about the ring by Alexander Usyk, we saw him do what Fury does and find something in those last couple of rounds. He found something, right? I mean, he was absolutely on his feet, but found something. I always wanted to see the Fury-AJ fight because in my head, I was saying a fight between two of the very best
Of
heavyweights
the
in the world.
era.
Whether
Of
it
the
be
era.
number one of the era. It isn't that anymore. It won't be that anymore. Like Fury, yes, Fury's still there. AJ, and look, I am, you know me, I'm the biggest AJ fan that there could be. It isn't that anymore. It's not that. I never expected that on Saturday. I never. Yes, I knew Daniel could punch, but Daniel bullied him. Daniel had his elbow in his face. Daniel, he got mauled, and I didn't expect that. And because I didn't expect that, that's why I'm like, okay, maybe enough is enough. And it's okay. It's okay. Like, why do you have to always continue? Like Andre Ward was asked to come back. He stopped. Carl Froch could have had a couple more knocks. He stopped. Lennox Lewis, who was on the TNT broadcast, he could have had a couple more knocks. He stopped. You've achieved everything. It's fine. You didn't get undisputed. That's okay. Not everyone does. I think it's okay to walk away. But I understand that there's also a lot of money on the table. Riyadh season and Turkey pay a lot of money. AJ's still a big name. He's still a big draw. If it is a Dubois rematch, it will sell out Wembley again because there'll be an intrigue now. But if it isn't, I don't know what you do. Would you want to see a rematch? I mean, Eddie spoke about a rematch clause. There isn't.
I don't think it's a wise move to fight Daniel Dubois. I just don't. I think stylistically, he's probably got his number, and I think AJ is going to have so many mental scars going into that fight that it's going to be a really, really, really tough build-up, and let alone a fight in itself. I think that the problem he's got is he might have reached his level, you know, and that he's chasing something. We said it earlier, we touched on it. He's chasing something that is maybe not there, which is that extra level. We saw it after the second fight against Alexander Usyk, and he mentioned that I'm not going to lose my shiz right now like I did in the Usyk fight, but he's feeling very frustrated. He was very frustrated after the second Usyk fight because he was that far away, 3 or 4 rounds away from making it his night. It's maybe just not there. Legacy for him is what he's achieved in terms of huge pay-per-view numbers, king of the pay-per-view numbers in the heavyweights this generation. No question about that. Crossover star, you mentioned all the brands that are with him. The less is more man. He's never done anything wrong. He's been an incredible ambassador for the sport. He's got a community officer he employs to do great things. I mean, he's an incredible character. He really is. And he deserves every plaudit he gets. And he doesn't deserve any cruelty right now.
No, and I hate that. I hate that that's coming his way from idiots online. Final one, because I do want to talk about Dubois, but final one on AJ. What we have seen in all the defeats, he's come back and he has rematched the opponent immediately, right? We saw it in Ruiz and he was better, although Ruiz was awful. We saw it. We saw it against Usyk, and although Usyk won the second fight, AJ was a lot better in the second fight. Can we count him out 100%, knowing that there will be improvements? Or is that... I don't know. Like, I'm trying to find something.
No, but it's not how you lose. It's not that you lose. It's how you lose. And it was so comprehensive. And all he did was try to survive for rounds 2, 3, and 4. And he came out throwing in 5, and he was caught because he was wide open, even though he showed incredible minerals to do that. I think it's always the manner of the defeat. I just don't want to see him in that fight with Dubois.
No, same. No, I agree. All right, then. So for Dubois, though, I mean, if you're Dubois and the contract comes across your table and it says AJ's name on it, the split's going to be bigger, more profile, it's higher profile, you take it. But if not the AJ rematch for Dubois, where does Dubois go next? Remember, he's a world champion now, legit world champion. Where does he go
you've got to make him, I think, 3 in the division right now. Imagine him against Tyson Fury. I mean, I would love that as well. And Frank Warren may have to make that fight. If Fury beats Usyk, Daniel Dubois deserves to fight for the undisputed title. There's no question about it.
This is crazy.
But he does.
This is the craziest turnaround I've ever seen in the sport of boxing, ever.
But it's possible at the moment because the Saudi investment, the big money's there, the fights are possible to make. And Daniel Dubois in 13 months and 4 fights has absolutely, as I said, he sits on the top table. Dubois against Piccoli, Dubois against Zhang, Dubois against Parker, Dubois against Usyk again, Dubois against Fury. They're all fantastic fights. But I think he deserves to fight the winner of Fury and Usyk for the undisputed title. He's just gone out and proven it. As the underdog, made to walk first, not as the champion, absolutely tore apart, like I said, like a young lion coming into maturity, and mauled and marauded a very dangerous puncher in Joshua, backed himself. And we saw all week, we talked about it last week, it wasn't fake that he was coming out of himself and beginning his maturity as a 27-year-old, maturity as a man emotionally and mentally. I think he's there now. He's there. I wrote a piece about it last week. We talked about it last week. If he was very, very decisive in this fight, which he was, this could be his time in the heavyweight division.
Yeah, I knew it was on. I knew it was on from that face-off. When AJ tried to almost, bully him a little bit by saying he's going to smash the chair over his face, and Dubois stood up, and AJ, I was like, there's a part of me that was like, yes, back yourself a bit. Like, don't be bullied here. And from then, I knew it was on. I looked at his body language when the cameras all kind of, turned away and we stopped recording. I kind of stared at him for a couple of minutes, and I thought, he's ready to go right now. Like, it wasn't just talk. Like, he was ready to go right now. Very in the mold of a Dillian White Chisora that would fight anywhere. He's got a bit of that in him. But he's also, let's not forget as well, he's been boxing since he was 7. I think sometimes people forget that. Like, his dad's almost groomed him for this moment. AJ started when he was 18. There's a big difference.
And also, this has shades of 7 years ago at Wembley when Vladimir Klitschko was trying to control Anthony Joshua in the build-up that week. Do you remember? And Joshua was 27 then and bristling and coming into his own. And Klitschko, who he admired and looked up to and who had given him advice, was saying, look forward, stand there when they were doing... Do you remember all this in the face-offs? And what did Joshua do? Went in there and he smashed him in the fight, the 40-year-old Klitschko, who'd been a world champion for so long, who had given him advice, who'd helped him with things. Father Time is a lot of people's worst enemy in fight sports, and Father Time is there on the shoulder of Usyk, on the shoulder of Fury, on the shoulder of Joshua right now. He's already pulling the ears of Deontay Wilder. Father Time waits for no one. This is a young man's sport, and heavyweight boxing is very dangerous and destructive.
It certainly is. Look, we're probably going to talk about this throughout the next coming months, because in the next coming months, we're going to know decisions. We're going to know what AJ is going to do. We're going to know what Dubois is going to do. We're going to have clearly found out the result of Fury Usyk. The heavyweight division has been turned on its head since the start of Riyadh season, on its head. And it started with Ngannou putting Fury down. That was the catalyst. And it's just continued and continued to surprise us. And that's the best of boxing, right? Sometimes you go in there thinking you know everything. And as Mike Tyson says, one punch can change absolutely everything, and it changed everything on Saturday night. All right, you're listening to Final Extra on talkSPORT 2. Up next, we're going to look at the best of the undercard.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.